Hi everyone, welcome to my Java interview preparation series. The topic of this video is what logical operators and operations do you know? What is the difference between the short and full notation of logical operators? Logical operations or expressions are the ones with the resulting type Boolean. So these are the expressions which result into true or false. And these are, in most cases, comparisons. For example, using the operators like greater than, less than, less than or equal, greater than or equal, etc., etc. Here is an example. Let's imagine we have two variables, integer variables, a and b, and here we use the uh, greater than operator. So we check if a is greater than b, and the resulting type of this expression will be Boolean. And in this case, the value will be false. And if we compare, for example, if a is not equal to b, this will result into true. Logical expressions can be used in control statements such as if else, while do while, for, etc. Here is an example. Here is an if statement, and it requires a condition. So in this case, a condition is an expression which should result into a Boolean data type. In this case, we use a variable h, and we use the less than operator, and we compare if h is less than 16. So this expression results into a Boolean type. It means the requirements for if statement is met. And based on this condition, whether it's true or false, we execute the body of this if statement, execute the code inside of it. So logical expressions can be combined using logical operators, and these are logical and short notation, logical or, short notation or, logical exclusive or, logical unary, not, and with assignment, or with assignment, exclusive or with assignment, equal, not equal, ternary operator of choice. Most of these operators are binary operators. It means they require two operands, left-hand side, left operand, and right operand. There is one of them which is unary operator, not. It requires only one operand because it simply inverts the value of the expression. If it was true, it will be false, and if it was false, it will be true. And there is only one ternary operator which requires three operands. We'll talk about it more in detail later. And as you notice, there is like short notation, long notation, like a regular AND operator and regular OR operator, and a short notation AND operator and short notation OR operator. So what is the difference between them? Both of them actually perform the logical AND and logical OR operations correspondingly. But why do we need long and short notation? So the difference is here. The full notation operators evaluate both sides of the expressions. So let's imagine we have two expressions, left expression side and right expression, and we have a regular AND operator. And as I said, full notation evaluates both sides. So before taking the result of this operation, it will evaluate left side, so a is less than 20, and the right side, which has an increment, pre-increment, so plus plus a, which will result into 21, is bigger or equal than 15. And after this, it will calculate the result of the whole expression. So as you see, a is less than 20, it's false. Then a plus plus, it's 20. Is it bigger or equal than 15? Yes, it's true. But false and true is false, so this code won't be executed. But there is a side effect, because we changed the value of a. So if we print out the value of a variable, it will be 21. And now let's imagine we do the same, but in this case we use short notation. And the short notation rule is in the case of AND operator, if the left-hand side expression is false, then there is no need to evaluate the right-hand side, because false and true or false and false will be anyway false. So if the left-hand side is false, doesn't matter what right-hand side expression is, it will be false. The result will be false. That's why we don't need to evaluate it. And in this case, again, we have an integer variable a with the value 20, and we have an expression a is less than 20, and plus plus a is bigger or equal than 15. In this case, this operator will evaluate the left-hand side, and in this case, it's false, and that's it. It says if it's false, the result is false, no need to evaluate the right-hand side. So this increment won't happen. That's why if we print out the value of a, it will be 20. So it won't affect. And same happens with OR. Full notation evaluate both sides. So in this case, we evaluate both sides and we do the pre-increment, the value of a changes. And the short notation. If left-hand side expression is true, no need to evaluate right-hand side. The result is true anyway. So in this case, this a is equal to 20 is true, so no need to evaluate this side. That's why this expression, this pre-increment won't happen, and the value of a won't be changed. It will remain 20. When can it be useful? Why do we need this short and long notation? In most of the cases it can be confusing, but there are some cases when it's pretty useful. For example, null safety. If we have an object, if we have a variable of an object which can be potentially null, can potentially have a null value, we need to have some security mechanism to prevent null pointer exception when trying to access this object. So let's imagine we have this kind of code. So here we have a condition, if statement with a condition, if person is not null and person's age is greater than 18, then we do something based on this condition. But see, we use here a normal AND operator, regular AND operator, and it means we evaluate both sides of the expression. Even if this person variable is null, we'll still evaluate this expression, and if it's null, we'll have a null pointer exception, which will crash the program. So one of the solutions for this is a nested statement. For example, we check first if person is null. If it's not inside of the statement, we have another check. If person's age is greater than 18, and we do something. Yes, this solution is better because in this way we avoid null pointer exception, but it's now we have two levels of if statements, which is like less the code, which makes the code less readable. So a better solution for this is to use the short notation. So here we say if person is not null and person's age is greater than 18. In this case, if person is null, this expression won't be evaluated and will avoid the null pointer exception. There is another, this is a very good way to prevent the null pointer exception, but it can be also used. For example, let's say there is a given config and it potentially can be null, and in case if the config is null, we need to get it from a different place, like for example get a default config or something else. And then we should check if config height is bigger than 20. So this code is good. It has, even though it has two if statements, but it's more or less readable. We can actually do this. by combining it using the and or operators. So in this case, we check whether config is null and config height is 20. So if this is false, then this won't be evaluated, but the or will be evaluated. This expression will move to this side, the calculation, and here we get the default config height and 20. Compare it to if it's bigger to 20 and do something. Of course, syntactically, it's possible to do this, but I do not prefer this way because it makes the code less readable, because now we have this huge expression here. So I would still prefer this one, but syntactically it is possible. And the other way is use the ternary operator of choice. So the ternary operator of choice looks like this. It has this question mark and the column, and it has three operands. The first operand is the expression, whether true or false. The second operand is what to do if it's which value to return if it's true, and the third operand is which value to return if it's false. So in this case, we can combine this using the ternary operator. So this is the condition if config is not null. If it's not null, then check the height if it's more than 20. But if it's null, get the default config and check if height is more than 20. And to make it more compact, we can actually combine it this way. So we just check if the config is not null, then take the config. But if it's null, we take the default config, and whatever we get from this expression, take the height and check if it's more than 20. And the way I prefer actually is to move it outside of the if statement. So let's say, let's assign the value of the config, check if it's not null, take the config if it's not null itself, but if it's null, take the default config, and then check its height if it's more than 20. So syntactically, it's possible. This way, for example, is very ugly. This way is, in my opinion, looks better, more readable. So, but it's up to you. You decide um, whether which of them to use. And these were the use cases for this. And this was it about the logical operations and operators. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more updates. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.